guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 17 on DraftKings. We're going to talk about everything that there is to talk about on this slate. I'm going to bring in the chat here from Twitch. They're with me, and we're going to talk about everything that they want to talk about, whether it's cash games, tournaments, whether it's certain players or positional eligibility type play. Give me wide receivers from this range to this range. Talk about this, what stacks, any questions they have. We're going to go over it just like we do every single week to help you build NFL DFS lineups for week 17 on DraftKings. My cheat sheet is out and it's going to be in the Discord. If you're not there already, go to smizzle.tv/Discord. You can become a service subscriber right there in the Discord. $5 a month. You get access to all the VIP rooms and you get access to the cheat sheet, which comes out every single Friday afternoon. After we're done recording this video on Twitch, the cheat sheet goes live. By the time you're watching it on YouTube, it is also live. If you're a channel member here on YouTube, which is also $5 a month, you get access to that. You just have to link the Discord to your YouTube. There's a little rigmarole you got to go through in the instructions folder to do that. It's easier if you just go through the Discord service subscriber. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is live. It is posted and it's $10, 3 max. 10% of first goes to 10% of the prize pool goes to first, 10% of first goes to 10th. It's absolutely no rake, and it is the best tournament that exists on DraftKings, but it is not in the DraftKings lobby. You got to go to smizzle.tv/links if you want the link to that. Let's make sure that we fill it before lineups lock. The link is in the link tree at smizzle.tv/links, as well as the Discord, the fantasy football channel, and everything else that I do. So make sure that you head over there and check out the Listener League. You get your 3 entries in there before lineups lock. Now, let's bring in the chat and figure out all of the different things that they want to talk about. Y'all have professional Fortnite DFS. I like playoff NBA. Y'all don't even want to talk about the slate. By the way, this is like the last week for our charity fundraiser for No Kid Hungry. You can see how much we've raised this year on the bar above. I think we're up to like 200 and like $195 or $200,000 raised as a community over the last 3-4 years for No Kid Hungry, which is fantastic. If you've been a winning player this season, if you've had a really good year and you want to, cut the amount of money that you're going to have to pay, if you need a charitable donation to cut down your tax exposure, right there, the QR code, or go to smizzle.tv/charity and donate to No Kid Hungry today. And your donation will pop up there. Your name will come up over here, all of the different things. So thank you guys for supporting the No Kid Hungry, providing No Kid Hungry charity, providing school lunches and breakfast to kids who are food insecure across the United States. This DJ, thank you for the 37 months. If Pacheco and CEH are out, is CEH now supposed to be out? I have not seen that. I have not seen any worry that CEH is going to be out. What I do have is Jalen Waddle ruled out with his ankle for week 17. Josh Jacobs is a game time decision. I'd kind of be shocked if he plays. And Marquise Brown placed on season-ending IR. So those are kind of the 3 situations that I think are the most, not impactful. I don't think any of them are like super impactful. But like you look at Arizona with Marquise Brown out, and we look at what they had last week. Greg Dortch runs around a whole bunch. We kind of figured that. I think he's going to do the same thing. He's extremely small. We're going to see Rondale Moore, who's whatever. I'm sick of Rondale Moore. Michael Wilson is going to run around a lot and get targets and not get open, because that's what he's good at. He can't get open against man coverage. He can't separate it all, but he's big. And maybe because of Philadelphia outside the hashes, they're just gettable. But realistically speaking, Trey McBride's going to be the guy who continually gets targets against Philadelphia. So like that's where their targets are going to go. Miami has the highest team total, or the highest game total on the slate is this Miami-Baltimore game. So Tyreek Hill, he's going to play. All right, he's just going to play. When Jalen Waddle's out, Tyreek Hill just kind of gets more, like he needs more usage. I think it's Ced Wilson Jr. is going to get a big bump in terms of his percentage. He's 3,600. He is not, I don't know if he's a core play, but like he's going to be somebody who's going to be much more interesting. Braxton Berrios going to get a little bit more run. Maybe Robbie Chosen. Like I'm not interested in any of these 3 with Chosen or Claypool or Craycraft. I'm more interested in Wilson than I am Berrios, and they just don't utilize their tight end in this offense very consistently. This is the most work that Durham Smythe has gotten, is the 12 targets he's gotten last few weeks. He got 7 in week 1 and then like no more than 4 the rest of the year. It's been, and some weeks 0, like the king of cardio at tight end. So like there's not much to glean from either of those situations. Now in Las Vegas, and Vegas has completely changed since Pierce took over at head coach. So this is a completely different team at this point. They were a team that we could take advantage of, and now they're like the number 1 team against they're run stopping team. They're muting passing offenses. Like they are a tough defense to deal with at this point. And like you don't just stream things against them like we did at the beginning of the year when they hated their coach. But Josh Jacobs, I would be shocked if he plays. I kind of would be shocked if he plays, which means that Zamir White is going to be kind of the guy again. We saw him go nuts against Kansas City in week 16. My 2022 best ball teams, where I had like 60% Zamir White, are thriving, or at least celebrating that in 2023 he's going nuts now. Great. He also had another 17.5 point week the week before against the Chargers. He can play a little bit. Like we knew this last year. Running backs are replaceable. And if he, like Josh Jacobs is a more talented running back than Zamir White, but if you give Zamir White a whole lot of volume, he's going to do some things. And he's 1,500 against the extremely gettable Indianapolis Colts defense. So if Jacobs out, and I'm assuming that Jacobs is out, that's going to push him. I didn't see who the quarterback was, chat. So I see who the running back is. That's really going to push Zamir White into cash game consideration. You're scared not to play Pollard. Your best ball teams are celebrating Zamir. Your dead best ball teams? Yeah, mine too. Like I said, my 2022 best ball teams are thriving right now with all the Zamir White. Amber Waves, thank you for the $100 donated to No Kid Hungry. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you. A lot of meals for hungry kids across the country. Is Moss still questionable? Are you talking about Indianapolis in terms of how viable JT is? He is still questionable. I am acting as though he is going to play, but JT gets 80+% of the snaps and touches in Indy. CMC should be removed from the running back poll. Why? It's weird to think that CMC at 9,600 is too cheap. And I don't think it's because of the matchup. I think it's because of the volume, the situation, the fact that the 49ers have a team total of 31.5, and they have the highest team total on the slate. Second is like Philly at 30, and then behind them, it's like 26. Like there's a massive drop off from those two teams. Stroud or Fields for season long? Probably Fields. Wide receiver poll is horrible. I mean, the way that we do the poll is we take the top 5 highest projected percentage plays at each position for chat to figure out who they want. So like if the poll is horrible, it means that the projected plays or the projected highest owned plays, you know, that's just what it is. Headlock just told you, like that's who the industry is saying are the highest played guys. Singletary and play for GPP. Yes. CMC is one of the top values across multiple sites at 9,600. And pardon my cough, it's going to happen from time to time. Because there's so much value, there was already more than enough value to get him into your lineup. There's plenty of wide receivers in the 4 to 5K range, and now there's a couple of wide receivers sub 4K, like with Ced Wilson, that pop in there. He's not hard to fit. You got running back sub 5,500. You've got CEH and Zamir White. You've got cheap enough wide receivers. You've got there's a ridiculously mispriced tight end. It's a dumb price at tight end. They've been so aggressive. DraftKings has been so aggressive at pricing tight ends. I'm not going to show you who the tight end is because we haven't finished the poll yet, and I don't want to influence the chat cash game poll. But like there's a tight end that is so egregiously mispriced that I have a Joe Flacco led team putting on one of the best offensive TNF games of the year. No, I didn't, because I did not play TNF last night. I had a meeting that ran through the beginning of TNF. I had like a Zoom call for some business stuff. So I didn't play. I did whatchamacallit, I did Rainmakers, where I had some Njoku and my my week-long stuff where I have Njoku and Browns defense, and those lineups are set up very well to succeed, but like there's no Joe Flacco in those lineups. Joe Flacco has been ridiculous. Like, I don't want to influence like who I think the egregious tight end is, but like there's a lot of tight ends that are very good on this slate. No fear, Flacco. Flacco's wrecking everything. And I don't mean wrecking everything before all Cleveland fans get their panties in a bunch, but like the problem is Joe Flacco is making the Jets look horribly stupid, right? You have to, this is the NFL. You have to prepare. You have to. You prepare to succeed or you prepare to fail. So if you don't have a backup quarterback who can come in and win a couple of games for you, as a good team, you're preparing to fail, right? That's just the reality of life in the NFL. If that's not who you are, you're preparing to fail. Okay, I've got Chat's cash game lineup. The Jets had Joe Flacco and they were like, you know, we've got Aaron Rodgers, but we're gonna ride this Zach Wilson thing out because like he's cheap and we'll just keep him because maybe we can keep him for 2 years and Aaron Rodgers will never get hurt at the age of 40 and Wilson will be fine. Maybe 2 years from now we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can influence him and make him into a good quarterback, and then we'll have the next guy to pass the torch to. But as soon as Rodgers went down, they knew that Wilson could not win games. He's egregious. He's a terrible quarterback. They didn't sign Joe Flacco, who knew the offense. If I'm going to discuss Aaron Rodgers, I have to disclose your vaccination status. Did you see, what's his name? Nick Wright? Nick Wright says a lot of ridiculous things. A lot of the Fox Sports guys say they're instructed. It's like, this is not a dig on the personalities at Fox Sports. It's not a dig on Fox Sports. It's the reality of working at Fox Sports that they tell their on-air talent, say ridiculous things because you're more likely to go viral online and therefore get more clicks and draw more attention to the shows. So like they say ridiculous things on the shows so that people talk about it. Think about all the people, like all of them. Acho, you know, what's his name? Used to be on First Take. So much so that it shoved Unk off the show, right? It's in their contract. Yeah, basically. Nick Wright says some ridiculous things. But also, his take about Aaron Rodgers was so spot on, right? His take about Aaron Rodgers from like 2 days ago could not have been more correct. He's like, it's not about your vaccination status. Kirk Cousins isn't vaccinated. Nobody ever says a peep about him. It's because you're disingenuous. Nobody say like, Lamar Jackson's not vaccinated. He's going to be the MVP. Nobody cares. It's just that you're disingenuous. That's why. All right. Who is your quarterback, chat? Who did you guys pick at quarterback? Who did you guys pick at QB? Here's chat's cash game lineup. You guys pick Purdy. Do you guys have like 70K this week? You guys just have a much more salary cap than everybody else this week, apparently. Chat went with Brock Purdy, who I'm fine with. Christian McCaffrey, Olave, and Trey McBride, which I don't have a problem with any of those players. Cheat sheets out if you wanted to see where my cash game core is, which is fine. End of year bonus. Chat's using their end of year bonus on extra salary cap this week in their cash game lineup. This is not who I think. I love Trey McBride, but I don't think that you're playing Trey McBride in cash this week when Gerald Everett's going to get 8 targets. I don't think you're playing Trey McBride, you know, when Okonkwo is 3,600, right? Like those two at 3,500 against Denver's defense and 3,600 against Houston's defense. I think this is where you're going in cash. And I think that this is going to happen. I think that this is possible. But also at cash, like you could easily come down here. There's so many backups playing. There's so many backups playing that like you could just find a guy in this range. Just don't be wrong. Just don't be wrong. But like, you know, Brissett or 4,600 for, where is he? Where's Ty God? There he is. Ty God for 4,600 against the Rams. Stidham. Denver's been good. You know, he's got all the same tools that Russ had, and Russ has been good. Even though Russ has not played great, Russ has good numbers this season. Russ has good numbers, but when you look at tape, Russ has not played like a good quarterback should play, but he has good numbers. And if Stidham can put up like 18 fantasy points against the Chargers defense for 4,800, there's a lot of cheap quarterbacks. And like, you can play whatever the hell you want. Does this year have the record number of starting quarterbacks for a season? If it doesn't, it's real close. Singletary with Stroud as a part of a stack. Like, you can, I guess. I haven't looked into what Singletary's target, what his target percentage is in the games where Stroud starts. And I would have to single out the games where Stroud starts and Pierce isn't there. Even though Pierce is there now, he's not the guy. Judy comes alive? I don't know. I think Judy's problems are Judy problems. I don't think Judy's problems were Russ problems. Chargers play defense? Allegedly. Like, they put 11 guys on the field when the other team's on offense. But I don't know if I'd say that they play defense. But like, they play defense kind of like how I put a dummy lineup in when I'm stacking missions. Like, I got a lineup in, but like, it's not my lineup. It's just some lineup I threw in on Tuesday and Wednesday to hold the space. They're just out there so they don't get a flag. Otherwise, you don't have enough men on the field and you get a flag. Do I like Ram stacks this week? So there's 26 teams. And I think that you can do just about anything. You know, I think you can get just about anywhere. Because if we go over to like Fantasy Labs, if you do not have an account over at Fantasy Labs, you can go to smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. The best package that they have is the 6-month package where you get NFL, college football, even though that's ending, NBA every day, MLB when that starts up, golf, NHL, projections, and a lineup builder for everything, every single sport. The Vegas page, however, that I'm on here is an absolutely free page. So I've sorted by the implied live team totals. 49ers, 31.5. This is ridiculous. Philadelphia keeps going up. It's up here now. Cowboys not on the slate. Damn it. Bills, 27. That's up. Well, it's down from open, but it was 26.5 earlier today. Ravens, 25.5. Like, we start going down the ladder. Anything above 24, historically back-tested data in fantasy sports kind of shows quarterbacks have a higher percentage of scoring 30 points or more when they had a team total of 24 or higher. Okay? It doesn't mean that teams that have a team total lower than 24 can't have a quarterback. Just the probability of it happening is lower. But there's a lot of teams on this slate that are above 24. Houston, Rams, Kansas City, Ravens, Eagles, Buffalo. Again, we have 26 teams. Some of them trending in the wrong direction. Open at 25, 24.5. Opened at 29, almost 30, down to 27. So, like, take that for what it is. Open at 27.5, up to 31.5. So, like, kind of, different situations. Bills need to win. That does not mean, playoff implications and winning games doesn't always have the same thing to do with fantasy production that you might think. Because the Bills needed a win against Dallas too. And they were up like 28 points or 25 points. And Josh Allen had 80 passing yards. Things can go sideways. Rams playoff best. Stafford's been good because their offensive line is protecting him. The Rams have good talent. Cooper Kupp is a solid player. Higbee's a good tight end. Even though he's not putting up great numbers, he's a good tight end. Puka is fantastic. Kyron Williams, best running back they've had there since Gurley. Better than Hendo, better than Cam Akers, right? Most talented running back they've had there since Gurley. And Gurley was more talented than Kyron, but Kyron is talented. And they have great coaching. And that coaching is dependent on their passing, their pass blocking. So when their pass blocking is up, they do great. And right now their pass blocking is keeping him clean. And when they keep him clean, Stafford is a Hall of Fame level quarterback. And when you give a Hall of Fame level quarterback in a really good offense with weapons time, he's going to make things happen. So yeah, I'm fine with that stack. Puka first round pick next year? Doubt it. Zach Moss, as the underdog feed just said, and somebody said in chat, Zach Moss ruled out. So Jonathan Taylor to the moon. Stafford has to be in the Hall. I was saying that before the Rams won the Super Bowl, if you guys remember that. Now people have just kind of, capitulated that, okay, fine, I guess he's in the Hall of Fame. Stafford's going to have some ridiculous numbers by the end of his career. Just some absolutely ridiculous numbers by the end of his career. But I think that there's anything, like, you could play him and, let's say, I think Kyron's going to be gettable this week. I don't know where the percentage is going to shake out on Kyron, because I think people are going to go all the way up to McCaffrey super easily, you know? And I think that that's going to push out Kyren because I don't think that you can optimally get to McCaffrey and Kyren. Like, you're going to give up way too many points on optimal. So like that's going to hold Kyren under 20, I think, where McCaffrey could be 30 to 40%. Like, you're going to want to play some of the higher owned wide receivers. You're just, you know, and there's no wide receiver that's projecting for like 30 plus. There's no guy that's at that level this week, but like there's a bunch of guys that are in this mid-range of pricing. Hopkins, Rashee Rice, Brandon Ayuk, Zay Flowers. Again, he didn't practice today, but like I'm assuming he plays. Tyreek Hill's extremely expensive. Michael Pittman, 7,500. None of them are over 20%, but they're pricey enough to keep you away from it. To play both of those guys, to play both Kyren and CMC, you'd need multiple 3,500 to 4,500 wide receivers that you think are going to smash. And I don't think that there are guys priced in that range that are going to smash, but I do think that we have multiple running backs between 5 and 6K that project to get 20 opportunities or more. And so getting one or two of them into a lineup, getting 5 to 7K wide receivers into your lineup through your stacks is much more possible. And then fitting one of CMC or Kyren. And I think that it's very easy to get up to CMC, and CMC has a higher floor. So like, I don't think Rams are going to be really highly owned at all. So like playing Kyren alone is probably going to be fine when it comes to the Sims, and playing Stafford doubles is probably going to be fine because it's going to get you different just based on the pricing, you know, just based on the pricing, because Stafford is 6,600 and this double right here is another 16K. So this right here is going to get you different. And I don't know that it projects exceptionally well. I don't. I think both of them are under 10%, Kupp and Nakua. I think both right now are under 10%, maybe under 5. I think Cooper's under 2, and Puka's definitely under 10, maybe under 5. But if Stafford hauls off and has like a 4-touchdown game, which we saw back against like Arizona, he just hasn't had a massive ceiling game. And the reason he has not had a massive ceiling game is because Kyren has been as good as Kyren has been. And their balance in this offense has been so solid, with Kyren getting as many opportunities as he has. 22, 34 in week 15, 29 here, 26 here, 22 here. That Stafford is ending up between 250 and 300 yards passing. And I'm not sure. I mean, maybe the Giants can push them. Or if the Giants, because he's Kyren, if the Giants can push them and score 20 to 24 points, and the Rams are forced to score like 35 and not run the football, but have to pass the football, then we might see vintage Stafford throw for 360 and 4 touchdowns. Kalu, why do you always want to stack running backs with quarterbacks? It's every hey, can I stack this running back with a quarterback? Like, I guess, sure. If you're going to do that, it's not something that's really viable in large field. That's something that's more viable in small field limited entry to differentiate yourself, you know, but it's not something that you should be deploying in large field, like the Millionaire Maker or the Slant, as much as you should be deploying it in like maybe like a 100-man tournament, or like the Thunderdome, the 30-man tournament, 50-man tournament. You need to play for the game that you're, you know, make a lineup for the game that you're playing. Mahomes double is enticing because it's got to happen eventually. And this is eventually. You assume Tua stacks of the way. I don't know. Dallas is tough. I'd rather play Dallas, Miami. I'd rather play Baltimore, Miami as I meant Baltimore stuff. I'd rather play Baltimore, Miami as a secondary as opposed to like Tua doubles. Flowers practiced today. I thought there was a thing that said he didn't practice today. If he practiced today, then I'm all good. I'm happy then. I'm totally fine with it. Ayuk or Debo week. I don't know. What's the meme from No Country for Old Men? What's the most money you've ever lost on a coin flip? Low price wide receivers we can discuss. There's plenty. Demario Douglas, the ever-present Jonathan Mingo that everybody likes, that I typically don't. Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, if you think that he can get open. I like Curtis Samuel. Devontae Parker's interesting. Rashid Shaheed. Said Wilson is now in the discussion. CMC anytime touchdown is minus 501. That's impressive. You guys want to see what the solver likes before I get out of here? Samuel or Dortch? I prefer Samuel. What if you did a secondary stack with Debo and Curtis, and not only correlated the game, but correlated guys with the last name of Samuel? Get a little double correlation as a secondary Samuel stack. That's got to work, right? That's got to be a thing. Play two guys with the same last name on opposite teams. I think that that's pretty sharp. All right. Here's what the Sims were saying I built 256 lineups. If you do not have an account over at the solver, you can go to smizzle.tv/solver. Help out the channel just a little bit. Here's the lineups that I built, 256 lineups using these QBs, all these different QBs. This is what the solver spit back out at me for large field. This is based on the slant. It kind of likes the Eagles, as you can see, a lot of Eagles doubles, and it likes Baker Mayfield. So like this lineup, this one shows up 4.02% of the top 1% finishes. So it ended up in the top 1%, 4.02% of the time. Very interesting lineup in and of itself. And then same lineups run through this, the filter for single entry, and you see some overlap. Sometimes you see some differentiation here. It likes a Purdy double here in this one, which I found interesting. It always loves George Kittle. The Sims have a blind spot for George Kittle, apparently. Kyron Williams in this one, as we spoke about that before, really loved Zamir White this week. Really loved Zamir White. But similar lineups for both, even though single entry is a little bit of a different animal. You can see the ROIs are different because smaller field, lower ROIs. So go check out the solver. It's a great tool to help you decrease the amount of time to do all these calculations on large field plays where you're trying to figure out, does this combination do better versus the field when we simulate this a whole bunch of times, as opposed to the old school way where you were thinking about, okay, well, what's the probability of this guy scoring over 25 points and the field's going to play him this percent of the time, and I think he's going to get over that number that percent of the time, where the old way of people thinking, especially in chat that you used to see, that I'm really thankful that we don't see very much anymore in the chat, is what percentage does this guy have to be that I'm not going to play him? Because that's not correct. And I tried to explain that away for years, and I couldn't get it through to make it understandable. And I tried my best. It was like, look, if a player is going to be, if a player is going to be owned by 15% of the field, and you think that the probability of him scoring the amount of points that you need him to score to be viable for you in that field that you're playing is greater than 15%, then you play him. If the probability of him scoring that amount of points is lower, then you don't. You wonder why they don't sim the millie? I don't know. You'd have to ask the solver. What percentage does he have to be for me to play him? Those are all interesting questions, and I can't answer them. Everton Chig to make Kyron and CMC work? You mean like playing a tight? I don't think that 13 game slates are great for two tight end. Two tight end is more smaller slate. The more wide receivers and running backs you have, the more players that you have that have a 30 to a 45 point possible ceiling. Tight ends typically don't have that type of ceiling. Few of them do. Some of them do, but even when they do, it's very rare for them to hit that type of a ceiling game. And to nail two of them on the same week at the same time is extremely problematic. And if they do hit like that on a 13 game slate, there's probably wide receivers or running backs that hit that. It's tough. It's just really tough. There's a lot of options to go to. I'm probably not going to be playing a tight end in the flex spot this week, but that's just the way that I roll. But if you guys wanted to learn more about all the different ways that I think that you can win on DraftKings, I have this entire playlist right here to teach you how to win on DraftKings. Not just videos about NFL, but if you're playing NBA or MLB when that comes back, or golf, all of those videos are in there for you to watch. So go check out that playlist on this channel, How to Win on DraftKings. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.